the planet Earth.
Some call me nature.
I am very passionate about the planet
Earth.
A living, breathing planet capable of sustaining whatever life forms we see fit to deposit on it.
Spock, judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived.
It's the planet stupid.
No, it's the planet stupid.
Our guide for It's the Planet Stupid, Belinda Weymouth, joins us, eco-journalist extraordinaire.
Good morning, afternoon.
You had so much good news last time.
Yes,
and,
I did.
Those are the good old days.
Yes, things have changed in a week, I'm
really,
afraid.
just in a week.
Yeah.
Well, take us through it and break it to us any way you want. But
Okay.
We're ready.
Well, I'm going to go environment, politics, and then I'll go, and then I'm going to finish with a happy story. So buckle up, everyone. Here we go. All right. So something bad has been happening in the oceans, and it's really been flummoxing scientists because why is the ocean heating up so quickly? The heating of the ocean has quadrupled in the last 40 years. And there's a new study out of Reading in England. Scientists looked at satellite data going back to 1985 all the way up to now. And they were looking at what was happening with climate change, what happens with El Nino, because I don't know if you remember, but we've talked about it was 2023 around April that people were like, wow, the ocean's caught a fever. Like, what's going on? It's so hot. And that fever has kept going. And by July 2024, there had been 450 consecutive days with record temperatures in the surface, the sea surface temperatures. What was causing it? So obviously we know greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases aren't good. And the thing about greenhouse gases, what they have done, they've heated up the planet, and they have caused also the melting of sea ice and snow. And when sea ice melts, this is why the Arctic is heating up so quickly. When the sea ice melts, white ice and snow reflect solar radiation back out into the atmosphere. When that ice is gone, and you're left with dark ocean water. It's a lovely turtle. That dark ocean water absorbs the heat. And so you have this thing called an energy imbalance. And the energy imbalance means that the amount of heat that the planet is absorbing, and in particular the ocean, which has absorbed 90% of the extra heat we've put into the atmosphere, it's not getting, released and reflected back. And one of the things that's causing this energy imbalance are the greenhouse gases, and then El Nino also affects it. But it's sort of beyond that. And so scientists, did this research, looked into it, saw how fast the planet is, that this energy imbalance and the ocean are heating up at the same time. And one of the ironies, that adds into this equation and is impairing the planet's ability to be able to reflect back the solar radiation is, in 2020, the International Maritime Organization imposed this new rule. There had to be less pollutants in shipping fuel. And one of those pollutants is sulfur. And the thing about the sulfur is the little sulfur aerosols, once they came out of the engine of the ships, they would be little aerosols in the atmosphere, and they were seeds for clouds to form. And so there was this ocean marine layer of clouds that was actually helped to form with the pollution. And so inadvertently, even though you've done something that's good for our lungs and is good for the planet, less particulate pollution in the atmosphere, it's also reduced the reflectivity of the ocean, because the ocean, rather than having this lovely marine layer of clouds on it now, is exposed and is absorbing, the dark water is absorbing that heat rather than being able to reflect it.
Wow, that's wild. Absolutely wild. It speaks to sort of the way, the interconnectivity of it all,
Yeah, it sure does. It sure does. And they say that China's efforts to reduce their air pollution have also reduced the ability of the planet to reflect back greenhouse gases, because that the particulate pollution in the atmosphere was actually shielding us a little bit, which is crazy because it's so bad for our lungs and our hearts.
Right. The law of unintended consequences. But man, I mean, I would think also that marine layer was just almost like an acid rain. I mean, with those kinds of chemicals you described as part of it, also, right? I mean, so that's fascinating. So you don't know what to root for there. I guess you root for less pollution, but then it actually creates an ocean temperature rise.
Yeah, but if we were reducing the pollution and we were reducing our greenhouse gas emissions at the same rate, we would be, and this is the problem. We're not doing it. Because the other thing, and I just want to, stress this, and it's, it's a little bit grim, but, this heating up of the ocean, it's not good. It's affected 77% of our corals. Our corals are in distress. And, coral reefs, they provide food and also a livelihood for the people who fish there to 1 billion people. So you're endangering those 1 billion people. You're also endangering the marine life because they're sort of like high school coral reefs. They're where adolescent, marine, animals, go to grow up before they head out into the open ocean. So they're really important for these juvenile habitats for sea life. Yeah, that shows you after bleaching and awful things, the coral loses its color. So what the lead scientist on this scientist Merchant said, governments need to really take notice of what's happening, because this heating up is happening way faster than a lot of them think, which leads me to the second thing I wanted to talk about, which is after January 21st, on the Department of Defense's website, climate change and their climate resiliency plan went away. Just went away. And you can, I'll put a link up on Blue Sky, which shows that you can still go to get certain links and certain information. But, this is really bad timing. And the thing that's really wild is the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, they know that climate change is an absolute threat multiplier when it comes to our national security. They are absolutely aware of that. And we had the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Kathleen Hicks, saying that last year. This climate change as a national threat is a known fact. We know that. And so they have this 52-page, and I'll put on links on Blue Sky where you can actually see this report, because our combat troops, they need to be climate change ready. They need to know how to operate in temperatures where we get up to 110, 120 degrees, where there are severe storms and it's actually really cold, or you're dealing with these, they get sent to a domestic location where there is, intense flooding or an intense storm. And the fact is, if they are occupied there, they're not going to be able to be available if there's a national threat. And we don't want our troops to be flat-footed when it comes to climate change, when our allies are aware of it as a threat and are training to be climate ready. We don't want American soldiers to, not have that advantage. Yeah, so there's the climate resilience portal. And some of the links in there still work. Like some were for civilians, some were only if you had a military pass, but some don't work anymore. But you can, and I'll post it, like I said, where you can see their 52-page plan. But, I get that this fits in with, the Trump rhetoric and the ideology that, denies climate change. But with this just sort of one, sweeping of this information under the carpet, yes, it will align with his personal ideology, but it denies the well-being of American citizens who he has been elected to take care of. Part of that is being ready for what's about to happen. And the Biden administration, by the way, they were having 6 months ago talking about this thing. It was called whole of government climate plans, and they were across all federal agencies, and they were for all federal agencies to have plans in place for climate resiliency, for adaptation, for the facts of what's coming and what is here already. Because the other thing I wanted to say, about the, Hurricane Helene, which, did all that damage last year, hotter oceans, and I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face, hotter oceans, hotter atmosphere, more energy. As a storm travels over a hot ocean, it gathers more energy. Hurricane Helene was a Category 1. It went to a Category 4 storm in one day, just moving over a hot ocean before it slammed into the coast of Florida and then moved in to North Carolina, where it did that, all that terrible flooding and damage, and over 200 people, I think it was.
Yeah, and I've got a background in meteorology, and I remind folks occasionally when it comes to tropical weather systems that that's the biggest movement of heat energy from one hemisphere to another. Nature's biggest movement of heat energy from one hemisphere to another is a hurricane. So that's the balancing act that the Earth is doing, really, with this heat energy that you described. So with more heat energy there is more to move, and that's exactly what you just described, that process.
Yeah. So it's
so that's the other ripple effect of heating up these oceans, and the devastation associated with these weather systems is, it's on some level incalculable because it's ongoing.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're only going to increase. And it's like, this is fact. We're looking at fact. This is what is happening now, and it's only going to get more extreme. And so to have federal websites being wiped of climate change information is just, it's just unconscionable. I think it's, I think it's, it's a total head scratcher. It's like, why would you do that when this, is our new reality?
Sure. But this is, Randy says it, everything Belinda is saying is informative, but the U.S. from a federal government standpoint is no longer paying attention. So that's exactly what Belinda's saying. She's saying they are rubbing out all reference to climate change and the climate crisis and the ongoing challenges. Even if you don't want to get into the combustion engine stuff and alternative energy, whatever, you still are dealing with climate challenges on an ongoing basis. And that's what Belinda's saying. You're saying troops and outposts have to be respecting the ways in which the planet is changing quite rapidly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just sort of, defies belief, really. And especially, it's such a stark contrast to where we were with the last administration to where we are now. And obviously we knew this was going to happen. I mean, this is the thing we talked about on the show a lot, but, game on, it's happening. So, but should we talk about...
I thought you had some good news.
I do have some good news, and it's about our big furry friends. It's about cats. You love cats, Mark.
I do love cats. I really do. I think they get a bad deal. I adore them. Yeah.
So these are about big, lovely, stripy cats, tigers, and how well they're doing in Asia. So tigers have been on the rebound. And they started this, actually, I think it started in, it was the year of the tiger. And they said, okay, what we want to do is I love this picture. Isn't it gorgeous? We want to double the world population of tigers by the next year of the tiger. So it's a decadal time system. So they had 10 years to double the numbers of tigers. So a place that's doing really well with their tigers is India. And we did talk about a province before here on the show not that long ago, and how well they were doing in a national park. And India, what's really interesting about India, they only have 18% of the world's habitat for tigers, but they have 75% of the world's tigers. Now, it's not a huge number. It's only, they have, 3,600. And so that means in the whole world there are 4,800. So we definitely need
crazy
more
what
tigers.
A low number it is. But
it's a really, really low number. But the fact is they have doubled their tiger population. And they are being smart about it. And I just think, we have to take our wins where we can. And here's the thing with tigers and what's so difficult. There's obviously, they're big, and there could be a lot of human animal conflict. And this is always a thing with big animals we're trying to save. It's huge in Africa with the elephants. And with tigers, the thing that's wild about the tigers is that the tigers that are doing really well in India live in a national park. It's about half the size of the UK, and they live alongside 60 million people. Now, the thing about the people who they live alongside of, these people are not in one of the poorer areas of India, because in poor areas, tigers will do badly. They will get killed for bushmeat, and they'll get poached for tiger parts, because poor people can make a lot of money selling tiger penises and other things to traders who will, take them to countries where people think that they're going to, do magic things for their sex lives. But what happens is, in these more upwardly mobile rural areas, the local people make money from the tiger tourism industry, and they are educated that if there are damages from tiger conflict with human beings, they will get reimbursed by the government. And so it's a sort of it's a fine line, because if you have, tigers are caught between a very sort of poor part of the country, and then if you have too much urban development because of, economic rise, that doesn't work either. So it's, how do you have a tenable, sustainable way that, both the humans and the tigers can do well, that there's enough room for both. And of course, you have to really educate people about it. They have to, realize, this is going to help you in your community. You'll have, foreign tourists coming. They're going to bring lots of money. They won't just spend it on seeing the tigers. They'll also spend it on local businesses.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how we adore these creatures, but you're right. And I didn't even ever before have the arithmetic laid out so beautifully the way you just did, which is that economically depressed areas find themselves probably bad places for tigers, because tigers just are killed and then sold for the parts that they can get in the generally Asian market. But you need just the right area that doesn't have a population that is desperate for those funds. So where are those places? I mean, give me an example of one of those places again, please.
They're all different provinces. I don't actually have the notes on those, but I'll post the story as well so you can see. And I don't know if it's more in northern India. I didn't.
But there are parts of India that are just the right balance, and that's where the tiger population is coming back. Okay.
Yes, that have the right balance, and also one of the things that's really big. Oh, that's cute. They look like they're twins. Their markings are so similar. You need to not have armed conflict, because all the armed conflict, is terrible. And what they say in India is, where they had Maoist uprisings in India, their tiger populations just went extinct. Any kind of armed conflict, very bad for your wildlife. And so you also need to have political stability for tiger populations to come back. That is super important as well. And thank you for putting up those numbers. They're actually higher than what I had gotten from the
point is that they're coming back and they're around 4,000. Yeah, which is really really cool.
Yeah, 5,000 plus.
We're closer to 5,000. I was born in the year of the tiger, says JB. There you go. Well, you've
got
that going for you, JB.
Yeah. So one of the things I just thought was interesting, and I wanted to mention this. So, people talk about, the conflicts and they're dangerous, blah, blah, blah. So in India, per year, there are 35 deaths from tiger incidents, 150 if you mess with a leopard, 50,000 if you get bitten by a snake, but 150,000 people die in car accidents.
Yeah, so it pales in comparison to the human threat is so much greater than the creature threat. Is your point?
Because people will say that sometimes, like, but if we have them living too close to us, they can kill us, and it's just those numbers put things in in more perspective. And also, if you think how we lived 100, 200 years ago, we were much more prone to to those kind of dangers. Oh, look, someone's just had a bath.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy tiger.
Rich Chinese pay for tigers medicinally, too. Watch out. Yeah, that's true. Alex is right. I mean, the rich areas, that's kind of what Belinda's saying. You have to find just that right economic balance where they're not, there's no sort of predatory need to take the tigers out, take the population out.
Well, the horrible thing, and we've talked about this before on the show, it's like the rhino horn is an aphrodisiac. We were talking not that long ago about bear bile on the show, and that in Asia, it's considered this, cure-all from everything from, acne to, a bad hangover to, cancer. And these things just... they're not true, and to think that, and it's the same with the tiger parts. It's not true, and it means that these incredible megafauna are endangered. But we also need education about that, because one of the things that was really interesting with the ivory trade in China, a lot of Chinese people, when they were buying some beautiful little trinket made of ivory, they imagined that the elephant that had provided that ivory was still alive, and when they found out that elephants were actually being slaughtered and having their tusks sawn off them to, be shipped to China, they were aghast because they had this idea that, it was just being, harvested little bits at a time or whatever. They were completely misinformed.
Yeah, we delude ourselves, I think, a lot of the time when it comes to food, when it comes to, certainly when it comes to ivory and these things and, materials related to animals. I mean, sadly, it just, it's not really a victimless crime, if you want to think of it that way. But I'm delighted that that tiger population is making enough of a comeback that it makes your news. That's really, really great. You can find our darling Belinda across social media on Blue Sky. She's left Twitter behind for obvious reasons, and you can find her at Belinda Weymouth, is WAYMOUTH. Always so cool to see you here. I wanted to share with you a comment, if I can find it. I love cats. A lot of people commenting on that. My daughter is a pretty tuxedo cat, and so on. Oh, this is it. Brian asks, this is off point. Belinda, guitar player as well? Is that a vintage Fender hanging on your wall over your right shoulder? Brian asks.
Yeah, I wish I was that cool. No, that's my daughter's. I'm going to point in the wrong way.
There you
my
go. So your daughter
guitar.
is that cool. That's the point.
When she's at university, her bedroom becomes my office. So yeah, that's how I'm cool. That's how I've got Iggy Pop on the wall behind me.
Yeah,
and
well, so she's the cool one, but she gets it from you. It's once removed. She does. Thank you, Belinda. Appreciate you, and I look forward to next week. Belinda Weymouth. That's It's the Planet Stupid for today.
More
It's the Planet Stupid. No, it's the Planet Stupid.
next time, only on The Mark Thompson Show.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.